Hey guys, tonight we're slipping quietly through the oldest gates of Chang'an, the beating heart of the Tang Dynasty. You're not just walking through history, you're stepping into the echo of a forbidden world. Somewhere beyond the moonlit courtyards lies the emperor's secret bedroom, a chamber so well hidden that even the grandest ministers never dared to whisper its name. The stories say it was designed to be as serene as a mountain monastery and as luxurious as a dream. You see, can almost hear the hush of silk slippers on polished stone as you drift in. And honestly, if you were a courtier and accidentally opened the wrong door, you probably wouldn't survive long enough to apologize. So yeah, you definitely wouldn't live through this. So before you get comfortable, take a moment to like the video and subscribe, but only if you genuinely enjoy what I do here. It lets me keep sneaking you into these long-forgotten rooms. And while you're at it, tell me in the comments where you're watching from and what time it is there. I love seeing our little sleepy history community stretch across the globe. Now, dim the lights. Maybe turn on a fan for that soft background. And let's ease into tonight's journey together. You push open a low lacquered door and the scent of sandalwood and crushed plum petals wraps around you like a warm shawl. The marble floor is cool under your bare feet, veined with inlaid jade that glows faintly in the lamplight. Outside, the court musicians are finishing their evening melodies, but in here, silence rules. Only the drip of a hidden fountain and the flicker of oil lamps keep you company. You can feel the weight of centuries pressing down, like the walls themselves are holding their breath. Some historians describe the Tang Palace as a labyrinth of interconnected halls and courtyards, but this chamber isn't on any blueprint we've ever found. It's said to be built behind the official sleeping quarters, reached only by a twisting corridor lined with painted cranes and turtles, symbols of longevity and secrecy. Whether it truly existed or was the invention of later storytellers, the image is irresistible, a hidden heart beating inside an empire. As you move further in, you notice the ceiling painted deep blue, scattered with gold stars, as if to mimic the night sky. A mosaic of the Milky Way stretches from one corner to the other, and the emperor's bed sits directly under it, a raised platform of carved sandalwood draped in shimmering silks. The canopy above sways gently with the draft, and tiny bells stitched along its edge chime like distant wind in bamboo. It's opulent but oddly quiet, like a stage waiting for a play no one else may watch. Your fingers graze the wall and discover hidden grooves, patterns carved into the stone, almost like a code. Legend says these grooves weren't decoration, but a private calendar of nights, marking visits, rituals, or perhaps something stranger. Some scholars argue they were astrological symbols guiding the emperor's choices. Others think they were simply ornamental. As always with the Tang court, mystery outpaces certainty. Near the bed stands a lacquered chest, its lock shaped like a dragon biting its own tail. You kneel and imagine the soft click as it opens. Inside might be scrolls of poetry or perfumes, from far-off deserts or something no one dared to record. Tales persist of rare minerals ground into powders, elixirs of the moon, brought by envoys from Central Asia. In a time when alchemy and medicine blurred, even the emperor's private room could double as a laboratory of the strange. You pause by a window screened with gauze, looking out on a courtyard no larger than a pond. Moonlight glitters on a narrow stream where koi swim lazily. Somewhere in the shadows a nightingale calls, and you imagine the emperor himself standing here centuries ago, listening to the same soft song before turning back to his hidden bed. It's strangely humanizing, this man who ruled millions pausing for a bird's note before slipping under silk sheets. Even the lighting is deliberate. Instead of bright lamps, there are small oil bowls set into niches at ankle height, casting the chamber in a low golden glow. The effect is soothing, but also disorienting. Shadows move differently here. You feel both guest and intruder. That's part of the story's power. The sense that you're somewhere you shouldn't be, seeing what you shouldn't see, but welcomed by the hush. There are traces of rituals too, a low altar at the room's far end with offerings of fruit, a small bronze mirror polished to a moon-like sheen. Was it for prayers, meditation, or something more intimate? Records hint that Tang emperors combined Confucian ceremony, Taoist breathing, and even imported Indian practices in their nightly routines. It's a fascinating blend. Like a playlist of spiritual apps before bedtime, historians still debate whether these rituals had political meaning or were purely personal acts of calm. You take a deep breath. The air tastes faintly of honey and pine smoke. You're aware of your heartbeat slowing, your steps becoming softer. The walls seem closer now, the stars on the ceiling brighter. You can picture the emperor lying here, perhaps reading poetry or tracing the grooves on the wall with his fingertips. There's a rumor that he composed a secret verse for each night, hiding it under his pillow to be burned at dawn. True or not, the thought adds a tender, almost melancholy note to the grandeur. A breeze drifts through the corridor behind you, carrying the echo of distant laughter from some forgotten courtyard. You almost turn back, but curiosity wins. After all, you've come this far. In a moment, you'll find yourself drawn to a darker corner of the chamber, where another door waits. Its hinges are covered with silk, muffling any sound, and a strange carved phoenix guards the frame. That door doesn't appear in any official plan either. You're at the edge of what we can know, the point where archaeology, rumor, and whispered memory converge. Step closer, and you'll cross into the Emperor's most private world, where history's certainties blur into candlelight and speculation. Your fingers hover above the latch, and the night seems to lean in, holding its breath. For your next move, you don't hesitate. Your hand presses gently on the silk-wrapped latch, and the door sighs open without a creak, as if it's been waiting centuries for you. Warm air drifts out, scented with frankincense, and something deeper, like aged cedar, mixed with rain on stone. You step across the threshold, and for a moment it feels as though you've walked into the Emperor's heartbeat itself, a steady, hushed rhythm beneath the glittering surface of power. Inside, the space is narrower, but more intricate. Where the outer chamber whispered of wealth and starlight, this hidden chamber hums with privacy. The walls are panelled with dark rosewood carved into winding dragons, and phoenixes locked in endless dance, their eyes inlaid with tiny pearls. Each scale and feather is a secret, curling across the panels like a code you're not meant to crack. By day, servants would see only plain wood, but at night, under low lamp glow, the carvings reveal hidden constellations. You walk slowly, trailing your fingers along the carvings. They're warm, despite the cool air, almost as if they hold a pulse. Near the back wall stands an elegant couch, not a throne, not a bed, but something in between, its cushions stuffed with swan's down and wrapped in crimson brocade. This was, according to fragmentary records, where the emperor prepared for sleep with rituals no chronicler dared to describe openly. Some historians suggest it was a meditation seat, others think it was a place for secret council. The debates continue, endless as the dragon carvings themselves. A low table nearby holds objects arranged with surgical precision, a bronze incense burner shaped like a mountain, a shallow jade bowl still faintly stained with crushed herbs, a stack of folded silk cloths embroidered with clouds and cranes. Everything whispers of purpose. The emperor may have ruled an empire, but here he curated small exacting rituals. Like a modern CEO who secretly alphabetizes his tea collection before bed, you kneel by the jade bowl, inhaling the faint, bitter perfume. It's unlike anything, sweet and sharp at once. Chronicles mention cloud dream powders imported from far western deserts, said to relax the body and open the mind to divine visions. Did he use them as a sleep aid? A medicine? A doorway to something more? No one can say. Even the names of these substances are half lost to time, surviving only as poetic metaphors. Behind you, a soft rustle. You turn to see silk curtains shifting. In a draught. They're dyed deep indigo at the top, fading to pale silver at the hem like twilight captured in cloth. You lift a corner and peek beyond. Another narrow passage leads into darkness, but this one is lined with lanterns painted with flowers that bloom only at night, moonflowers, night-blooming cereus. The artist even painted them as if in various stages of unfurling, a subtle suggestion of time passing after sunset. You imagine the emperor walking this passage barefoot, a single lamp in hand, the scent of night-blooming flowers guiding him toward sleep. The idea is intimate, almost disarmingly normal. Power magnified 1,000 times still ends in the same human vulnerability, closing your eyes in the dark and surrendering to dreams. On a shelf near the lanterns rests a rolled scroll, tied with crimson thread. You don't unroll it, you can't, but you imagine what it might contain. Secret instructions, sacred verses, a simple bedtime poem. Some claim these scrolls recorded dream visions to be interpreted by court astrologers. Others insist they were lists of names, concubines chosen for the night. Both theories persist, neither proven. It's the not knowing that makes it linger, like a half-remembered melody. Your footsteps echo softly now, the wood floor underfoot giving off a muted warmth. You pause at a small pool recessed into the floor, fed by a thin stream trickling from a dragon's mouth. The water glows faintly with reflected lamplight, rippling like liquid gold. This could be a ceremonial wash basin, a pre-sleep purification ritual. Or perhaps, as one eccentric historian once proposed, it was filled with infused waters, meant to induce vivid dreams. The Tang court was nothing if not inventive. As you lean over the pool, a gust of cooler air slides past your cheek. It carries a faint sound, flute notes, whispered voices, maybe just the wind. You remember how even now scholars pore over fragmentary diaries and archaeological sketches, debating whether this chamber even existed. Some call it myth-making by later dynasties, a romanticized picture of imperial privacy. Yet here you stand, feeling the cold stone under your hands and the warm breath of old incense in your lungs. There's humor in it too. Imagine the emperor, a figure so mighty that his decrees could move armies, fussing over the perfect arrangement of his night lanterns or worrying if the dragon's mouth fountain was dripping too loudly. Power doesn't erase pettiness. It just gilds it. You smile to yourself. Another curtain ahead glows faintly with golden light fluttering like a living thing. You know the pattern now. The palace within a palace, each room peeling away another layer of public mask. Beyond this curtain lies a space that even the closest attendants may never have entered. You feel your pulse quicken as you reach out, as if the sentries themselves lean forward, eager to show you their last hidden card. Your fingers brush the fabric. It's cool and smooth, smelling faintly of rain and old paper. The air beyond is thicker, warmer. You can almost taste the next secret waiting there, the moment when speculation becomes sensation. You take a slow breath, steady yourself, and step forward, straight into the heart of the emperor's hidden chamber, where history dissolves into candlelight, and you begin to sense how much of the night's ritual was never meant to be written down. The curtain falls behind you like a wave of twilight, and the room ahead swallows you whole. It's smaller than the others, but denser, like the core of a fruit where all the sweetness concentrates. The air is warmer, faintly sweet with a scent you can't name, as if someone has steeped dried apricots in sandalwood smoke. The flicker of a single lamp casts shifting shadows on the walls, so the painted cranes seem to stir their wings in slow motion. You're inside the emperor's hidden chamber now, the one beyond even official records, the place where ceremony stopped and a private world began. You tread carefully over a floor of polished black stone. In its mirror-like surface, the lamplight becomes 1,000 miniature suns. At the center sits a low circular platform draped with crimson and gold silks. It isn't quite a bed, not quite a throne, a liminal space where sleep and power blurred. You imagine the emperor sitting cross-legged, here eyes closed, reciting verses that no scribe dared to record. It's the kind of image that historians circle warily. They know something was here, but not exactly what, like an erased figure in a painting, leaving only a ghostly outline. Around the platform stand 4 slender pillars carved from pale jade. Each pillar is etched with characters so fine you can only see them when the light strikes just right. You tilt your head and glimpse fragments, names of constellations, medicinal herbs, virtues, perhaps even lovers. Some characters are upside down, others reversed. Was it a code, a prayer, a calendar? Modern scholars still argue over this, publishing papers with titles like The Pillars of Night and Jade as a Medium of Power. None of them agree. You smile at the thought. Even emperors leave behind riddles. In a niche to your right stands a tall bronze mirror, its surface dulled by time. The frame is shaped like a coiling dragon biting its tail, just as the chest lock was. The mirror reflects the lamp, but when you look directly at it, you catch not your own image, but a hazy reflection of the room, as if the glass prefers secrets to faces. You step closer and run a finger along the edge. It's cool and slightly rough. Perhaps the emperor stood here too, straightening his robes before slipping into anonymity for the night. On a low shelf beneath the mirror sit small ceramic jars, each labeled with a single character in red ink. You lean in and catch faint scents as you pass them: rose, clove, musk, and something sharp and metallic. Court records speak of dream ointments and wind powders delivered to the inner palace at dusk. Were these jars filled with such substances? The question hangs in the air like the scent itself. Then you notice a tapestry on the far wall, woven in shades of blue and silver. It shows a mountain rising from clouds under a crescent moon. But look closer. The mountain's slopes are lined with tiny figures walking upward, carrying lanterns. At the peak sits a pavilion shaped exactly like this room. It's as if the emperor had a map of his own hidden space rendered as myth, a dream of privacy turned into art. A draft stirs the tapestry, and you catch a glimpse of a hidden alcove behind it. You slip around the edge, fingers brushing the rough weave. Inside the alcove is a tiny altar, carved from dark stone, barely big enough for a candle and a bowl. The bowl still holds a few dried petals, peony perhaps, and a pinch of what looks like powdered amber. The candle's wick is blackened but unlit. It's a shrine of sorts, but to what? A personal deity? Ancestral spirits? Or just a ritual to clear the mind before sleep? Even the best court annals don't say. You crouch, almost feeling the emperor's presence beside you, his robes brushing the floor, his breath steady as he arranges offerings. Imagine him, ruler of millions, kneeling in silence before this tiny altar while the city beyond roars with life. The contrast is striking. Absolute power outside, private humility inside. It's almost comforting. Rising, you brush your palms against your clothes and wander back toward the center. The lamp's flame wavers, throwing the jade pillars into dancing light. You realize your own breathing has slowed, your movements matching the room's rhythm. The chamber works on you like a lullaby. Low light, warm scents, soft echoes. Perhaps that was its purpose all along, to strip away the emperor's day and ease him into night. You chuckle quietly, imagining a Tang emperor practicing his version of sleep hygiene centuries before bedtime apps existed. Dim lighting, check. Aromatherapy, check. Quiet altar ritual, check. Even the most powerful man in Asia needed a wind-down routine. Your eyes drift to the ceiling. Unlike the star-painted vault of the outer room, this one is plain, smooth dark wood polished to a subtle sheen, a deliberate choice perhaps, to calm the senses. No distractions, no cosmic metaphors, just the enclosed hush of privacy. The contrast makes you aware of your own heartbeat, the weight of your body in the warm air. At the far side of the chamber, a narrow door stands half ajar. It's smaller than the others, barely wide enough for one person to slip through. No carvings, no symbols, just plain wood darkened by age. It feels like the end of the labyrinth, but also like the beginning of something even more secret. You step closer, your fingers grazing the frame. A faint sound reaches you, maybe water dripping, maybe a distant flute, maybe nothing at all. The lamp's flame leans in the same direction, drawn by a hidden breeze. You sense that beyond this door lies the emperor's most private sanctuary, a place where not even ritual intruded. And yet the historians are divided. Some insist it was a meditation chamber, others a vault of documents, still others whisper of things more intimate, but no one can say. You draw a slow breath, feeling the silk of the air slide into your lungs. Every step you've taken tonight has led deeper, from public grandeur to hidden chambers to this threshold. You're about to cross into the heart of the mystery, where history stops and speculation begins. Your hand rests on the latch. The room seems to lean forward, waiting. Behind you, the tapestry flutters once, then stills. Ahead, the door waits, plain and silent. You realize how deep you've come, not just into the palace, but into the emperor's. Solitude. One more step and you'll see what no courtier, no chronicler, no modern visitor has ever fully described. You smile at the thought, half nervous, half thrilled. Even in this hush, you manage a quiet joke to yourself. Well, if I don't come back, at least I'll have a great story for the comments section. You press your palm flat against the wood, feel the grain under your skin and push gently. The door shifts inward with a sound like a long exhale. Beyond is darkness, warm and thick as velvet. You step forward into it, eyes adjusting, senses alive, ready to glimpse the last secret of the Tang Emperor's night. The darkness beyond the door wraps around you like a velvet cloak. For a heartbeat, you can't see anything at all, only hear the muffled pulse of your own breath and the faint drip of water somewhere in the distance. Then your eyes adjust, and you realize you're standing in a chamber even smaller than the last, almost like a cocoon carved into the palace itself. The air here is warmer, heavier, with a faint metallic tang under the sweetness, like a room that remembers incense and iron both. At first glance, it looks bare. The walls are smooth, polished stone without carving or ornament. No paintings, no tapestries, no pillars. But then you notice a soft glow emanating from low niches along the floor, tiny bowls of oil with floating wicks, their flames swaying like fireflies. They cast the room in a golden shimmer, shadows dancing high above. You have the odd impression of being underwater, the light moving like waves across the ceiling. In the center stands a single object, a round table of dark wood, so perfectly polished it reflects the lamp flames like captured stars. Upon it lies a narrow silk cloth embroidered with silver clouds. 3 objects rest on the cloth, a small jade box, a rolled bamboo scroll tied with a green ribbon, and a shallow dish of translucent crystals. Nothing else, no bed, no throne, no altar. This is a place stripped of symbols, a final sanctuary. You approach slowly, the soles of your feet whispering over the warm stone. Your fingers hover over the jade box but don't touch. You lean closer, instead. A faint scent escapes, subtle and complex. Honey, pine, something sharp like crushed mint. Court rumors speak of night salt, a blend of minerals believed to draw bad dreams out of the body. Others claim such boxes held dried petals of flowers that bloomed only once a decade. The truth, as always, hovers somewhere between medicine and myth. You reach for the scroll next. Its ribbon is frayed, the bamboo slats darkened by age. What could be written here? A poem, a confession, a list of names? Some historians imagine these scrolls as private diaries the emperor burned at dawn, erasing his own footprints each morning. Others believe they were manuals of breathing exercises or dream rituals. The speculation is endless, but no evidence survives. Only these whispers. The shallow dish of crystals fascinates you most. Under the flickering light, they sparkle like tiny pieces of ice. You recall a passage from a Tang court record mentioning moon salt, brought from far western oases, prized for its calming properties. Maybe this is it, the emperor's secret ingredient for sleep. Or maybe it's just sugar crystals from some distant caravan. Even emperors have a sweet tooth. You chuckle softly at the image. Moving around the table, you find a low stone bench built into the wall. Its surface is padded with a thin cushion embroidered in pale blue. You sit, feeling the cool stone seep through the fabric. The room's hush deepens as though it's closing around you. Here at the heart of the labyrinth, you sense not power, but vulnerability. The emperor's world narrowed to a table, a scroll, a box, a dish. You think of him entering this chamber alone at night, slipping past curtains and corridors, leaving attendants behind. No elaborate rituals now, no display, just this quiet, perhaps a moment to breathe. Some scholars suggest these hidden rooms were built as meditation cells, influenced by Buddhist practice. Others think they were panic rooms, secret refuges in case of palace coups. The idea of an emperor needing a safe place feels strange, but also humanizing. Power invites fear. Fear seeks sanctuary. A draft glides across your skin, bringing with it the faintest sound of distant bells. You close your eyes and imagine the scene. A Tang emperor kneeling at this very table, crushing a pinch of moon salt into a cup, unrolling a scroll of verses written in his own hand, reading by the light of flickering lamps. Outside, the city of Chang'an buzzes with night markets and drums. Inside, only his breathing and the soft scratch of bamboo slats. Your eyes open. The flames in the niches lean all at once toward the center, as if the room itself were drawing a breath. You catch your reflection in the polished tabletop, soft, distorted, shimmering. You feel for a moment as though you're sharing the Emperor's solitude, his ritual, his secrets. It's both intimate and eerie, like slipping into a stranger's dream. Another small doorway waits at the far side of the chamber. Unlike the others, this one has no door at all, just a dark archway leading into a deeper glow. A faint smell of blooming orchids drifts through it, and you hear a sound like running water. This is the final step inward, the core of the secret. You rise slowly from the bench, your knees brushing the cushion. You take a deep breath. Even now you keep your sense of humor. If this is where he kept his midnight snacks, I'm going to be very disappointed. The thought calms you. You feel ready for whatever is next. The golden flames tremble as you cross the room. Your shadow stretches long and thin across the floor, merging with the darkness of the archway. The warm air smells richer now, like the inside of an orchid petal, sweet but earthy. Your heartbeat is steady but slow. You're deep enough into the labyrinth that time itself seems to blur. One last glance over your shoulder. The jade box, the scroll, the dish of crystals all still in their places. The Emperor's quiet rituals waiting in perpetual night. Then you turn back to the archway and step through. Darkness folds over you again, but this time you feel a softness underfoot, like woven mats instead of stone. The sound of running water grows clearer, mingled with the flutter of unseen wings. You realize you're entering a space the Emperor may have used not for sleep, but for dreams themselves, a garden of night hidden inside a palace of light. Your bare feet sink slightly into the mats, a relief after the cool, hard stone. The air here is warmer still, heavy with the scent of damp earth and blossoms. A faint mist hangs low, curling around your ankles. You pause and blink, surprised. Somehow beyond the archway, the hidden corridor has opened into a garden. Not a grand courtyard like the ones tourists photograph, but an enclosed secret garden no sunlight ever touches. Lamps shaped like lotus buds glow softly in niches along the walls, their light dim and golden. They reveal narrow paths of dark, pebbles, clumps of moss and dwarf trees pruned into curling shapes. Overhead the ceiling disappears into shadows, painted with constellations that glimmer faintly in the lamplight, stars that never move, a frozen sky. It's like walking into a dream of the outside world, recreated underground. You hear the water now, a narrow stream winding through the garden, its banks lined with smooth jade stones. Tiny fish with silver bellies dart beneath the surface, flashes of light in the dimness. The stream feeds into a round pool at the garden's center, its surface perfectly still, except for the occasional ripple from a falling droplet. The sound of the water hushes you more effectively than any command. You move along the pebbled path, brushing your fingers over a dwarf pine. Its needles are soft, not prickly, as though bred for this place. The scent is sharper than outside, like walking into a kitchen full of fresh herbs. You almost expect to see a chef pop out from behind a tree with a wok. Instead, the only movement is the drifting mist and your own reflection gliding across the pool. On the far side, a low wooden platform sits at the edge of the water. Cushions and rolled mats are arranged neatly there, along with a small brazier shaped like a crane. A thin wisp of smoke curls from its beak, carrying the smell of sandalwood mixed with something sweeter, like roasted chestnuts. You imagine the Emperor here, barefoot as you are, kneeling on the platform to watch the fish. The thought is strangely intimate. Some historians believe such hidden gardens were inspired by Taoist inner landscapes, spaces built not for display, but for inward journeys. Others point out their practical side, a cool retreat from the summer heat, a private space to breathe without constant eyes. Yet others whisper about stranger uses. In one half-forgotten chronicle, there's mention of night rehearsals, where emperors practiced rituals or intimate ceremonies away from the court's scrutiny. No one knows for sure. The garden keeps its secrets. You kneel at the edge of the pool and trail your fingers through the water. It's surprisingly warm, like bath water, and leaves a faint tingle on your skin. You picture exotic minerals dissolved, Here, or perhaps just heated by hidden pipes. The Tang Dynasty was famous for its engineering. It's not impossible this pool had a function you'd never guess: medicine, meditation, or something in between. You dip your fingers again and bring a droplet to your lips. It tastes faintly sweet, like melted snow with a hint of spice. You laugh softly. Moon salt tea, you whisper, or Tang Dynasty Gatorade. The sound of your voice startles a bird hidden in the branches. It flutters once, then stills. The hush returns deeper than before. Beyond the pool rises a screen of carved wood, its panels filled with intricate latticework shaped like clouds and cranes. Light leaks through the cutouts from a chamber beyond, flickering gently. This must lead to the innermost space, the place where rituals turned into rest, or rest into dreams. The emperor would pass from water to wood, from garden to chamber, shedding the world like a cloak. You glance back the way you came. The archway is still there, a dark shape at the far edge of the mist. Beyond it, the velvet chamber with its table and jade box waits in silence. But it feels far away now, like another world. Here the air hums softly, like a cat's purr, or a lullaby hummed by someone just out of sight. For a moment, you let yourself sink into the cushions on the platform. They're softer than you expected, filled with something springy, maybe reeds, maybe down. The brazier's smoke swirls lazily, drifting toward the carved screen. You can't shake the sense that you've crossed not just space but time, stepping into the emperor's private night. Somewhere above, a bell tolls faintly, the sound warped by distance. Maybe it's a palace timekeeper. Maybe it's only your imagination. You rub your hands together and whisper another joke. If Netflix had existed back then, this is definitely where he'd binge watch. The mist curls around your ankles, like a shy animal. You stand again, steadying your breath. The screen beckons with its lattice clouds. You feel that soft tug in your chest, the curiosity that brought you here in the first place. Behind that screen lies the emperor's most private sanctuary, the place history never shows. You take one last look at the pool. Your reflection ripples, and then stills, staring back at you with wide eyes. You touch the water once more, a silent promise to remember its warmth. Then you turn toward the screen, step lightly across the platform, and reach out your hand. The wood is smooth under your fingers, cool despite the warmth of the garden. You push gently and the panels shift, opening without a sound. Beyond is a room bathed in a deeper glow, softer and stranger than anything you've yet seen. The scent of orchids thickens, and a distant melody floats toward you, as if someone were plucking strings in another dream. You step through the screen, leaving the garden's hush behind, and enter the emperor's hidden chamber of night. The glow greets you first, soft and amber, like melted candlelight spilling across velvet. The chamber beyond the screen feels warmer, but not uncomfortably so. The air is thick with the perfume of orchids and something subtler beneath it, like polished wood warmed by hands. It's quieter than the garden, even though you can still hear the faint thread of music. Your feet sink into a rug so fine it feels like walking on clouds. At first you think it's silk, but when you glance down you see it's woven from strands of gold and pale blue thread, patterned with cranes in flight. Each crane seems to shift slightly as you move, as though caught mid-wing beat. The ceiling. Above you glitters faintly with mica dust, stars scattered in a false night sky. To your left stands a low lacquered table, its surface set with delicate cups, a slender teapot, and a tray of dried fruits arranged like a painter's palette. The Emperor's midnight snacks are a little more refined than you imagined. No Tang Dynasty instant noodles here. A tiny spoon carved from bone rests beside the teapot, its handle shaped like a dragon curling around a pearl. Across the room, a bed dominates the space. Not a heavy frame like you'd expect, but a low platform draped in layer upon layer of pale silk. Pillows embroidered with clouds are piled high at one end. The fabric shifts with your breath, so fine it seems to ripple like water. Above the bed hangs a canopy of sheer curtains, dyed the faint pink of dawn. They sway gently, though there's no breeze. You step closer, your fingers brushing the edge of one curtain. It's cool, almost cold, like the surface of a pond before sunrise. In the folds, you glimpse a faint shimmer of something. Tiny bells, perhaps, sewn into the hem. You imagine them tinkling softly when someone lies beneath, the sound too delicate to wake, but enough to lull into deeper dreams. Some historians speculate these private sleeping chambers were layered with sensory details on purpose. Soft light, warm scent, gentle sound, all to guide the emperor's mind toward rest. Others whisper about more esoteric practices, breathwork, lucid dreaming, even astral travel. The chronicles are maddeningly vague, hinting at night journeys and hidden crossings. You tilt your head, amused. Tang Emperor or TikTok, wellness influencer. On a low stool near the bed sits another small box, this one carved from sandalwood. Its lid is slightly open, revealing a pale powder inside. Was it medicine, perfume, a sedative? Court doctors recorded elaborate recipes meant to quieten the heart and harmonize the five spirits. Some used crushed pearls, others rare. Herbs from distant provinces. The emperor's sleep was a matter of state. A groggy ruler could make costly mistakes. You reach for one of the dried fruits on the tray, a slice of something like apricot, but darker. It smells sweet and sharp at once. You hold it near your lips, then laugh quietly. Better not, I still have to find my way out. The music threads through the chamber again, a plucked string melody almost like a lullaby. You can't tell. If it's coming from a hidden musician or some clever device, you lower yourself to the edge of the platform bed. The silk sighs under your weight. For a moment you imagine the emperor doing the same, kicking off embroidered slippers, loosening, his robe settling among the pillows. Did he read a scroll before sleep? Drink a herbal infusion? Whisper a prayer? The curtain would fall, the lamps dim, and only the faint scent of orchids remain. Some say these rooms weren't for sleep at all, you recall from a scholar's article, but for private councils or hidden liaisons. The idea tickles you, an emperor running from politics into a pillow fort. You glance at the canopy again, half expecting to see a note pinned to it reading, "Do not disturb." A movement. At the far end of the chamber draws your attention. A set of steps leads down into a sunken alcove lit by pale blue light. You hadn't noticed it before. The air drifting up from it smells cooler, like spring water, perhaps a bath or a meditation pool. The Tang emperors were famous for their love of bathing, not just for hygiene, but for ritual. You feel that same tug of curiosity pulling you from one secret to the next. You rise from the bed and cross the chamber, the rug's golden cranes seeming to glide beneath your feet. At the top of the steps you pause, peering down. The blue glow pulses gently, like moonlight caught in water. The faint sound of dripping echoes upward. You can almost taste the minerals in the air. Somewhere deep inside you, a modern voice mutters, "This is either a spa or a dungeon." You smirk. Either way you're going. You grip the carved rail, smooth as riverstone, and descend slowly, each step cooler than the last. The scent of orchids fades, replaced by something fresher, like mountain air. At the bottom of the steps, the space opens again. You can't yet see everything, but you catch glimpses. A curved pool, tiles shimmering with mosaics, low niches holding bowls of flickering blue flame. The emperor's rituals may not have ended at the bed. There's another layer to uncover, one that water hides and silence keeps. You take a deep breath, feeling the coolness brush your skin, and step forward into the glow. The blue glow folds around you like a cool mist, and the hush deepens. The chamber at the base of the steps is circular, carved entirely from pale stone that seems to drink in the light. Along its edge runs a narrow ledge, just wide enough for you to walk, and in the center spreads a pool of water so still it might be glass. Tiny flames burn in recessed bowls around the perimeter, each one blue instead of gold, casting ripples of color across the ceiling. You pause on the ledge, letting the damp air settle over your skin. The scent here is clean, mineral, like rain, falling on hot stones. It's such a sharp contrast to the warm orchids above that you feel as though you've stepped into a mountain spring hidden under the palace. You flex your toes against the stone. It's pleasantly cool, grounding you after the soft luxury of the rug. Your eyes adjust further, and you notice that the pool isn't just water. Beneath its surface lies a mosaic of tiny tiles in turquoise, jade, and lapis lazuli. They're arranged in swirling patterns, clouds, cranes, and something else you can't quite name, a symbol like a spiral sun. When the flames flicker, the patterns seem to shift and move, like living currents. Near the pool's edge sits a low table with 3 ceramic jars, their lids painted with dragons chasing pearls. Small cups of carved bone sit beside them. You crouch and lift a lid. A cool, sweet aroma drifts up, faintly floral with a metallic edge. Court recipes mention immortal waters infused with herbs to steady the mind. Some scholars think these pools were part of nightly rituals to cleanse not just the body but the spirit, like washing away the day before dreaming. You trail a hand through the water. It's warmer than you expect, silky, almost oily, leaving your fingertips soft. You imagine the emperor here alone or with a single attendant, sitting on the ledge to soak his feet, perhaps chanting a verse under his breath. The chronicles hint at silent purifications performed before night audiences with deities in dreams. Others, more mundane, record emperors suffering insomnia and being prescribed elaborate baths. The line between the mystical and the medical blurs. A soft chuckle escapes you. Forget bubble baths. This guy had the deluxe package. The sound echoes oddly in the circular chamber, bouncing back like a whisper from someone else. You shift your weight, feeling the stone's chill seep up through your heels. Across the pool you notice a small alcove cut into the wall, framed by 2 carved cranes whose beaks almost touch. Inside sits a single bronze mirror, its surface dark and mottled with age. Its handle is shaped like a lotus stem. The placement feels intentional, almost ritualistic. Mirror, water, flame. Perhaps the emperor would look at himself here, stripped of robes and ceremony, seeing not a ruler but a man. Some texts speak of contemplating the true face before entering the dream world. You stand and walk slowly around the pool, your reflection gliding beside you, distorted by the flicker of blue flames. The ceiling above glitters with mica, echoing the false sky from the chamber above but colder, like a winter night. The spiral symbols on the mosaic draw your eye again. Could they represent the hidden crossings scholars argue about? A map? A mantra? You whisper the thought aloud, and your voice seems to vanish into the stone. At one point on the ledge, a narrow stone bridge extends across the water toward a small platform in the very center of the pool. You hadn't noticed it before because it's so low, almost level with the surface. On the platform rests a single cushion, dark blue, its corners weighted with tiny bronze bells. It's exactly the size for one kneeling figure. You take a step onto the bridge. It's firm underfoot but slightly damp, the mist rising from the pool clinging to your skin. The air smells faintly of cedar now. You reach the platform and lower yourself onto the cushion. The bells jingle softly, their sound so delicate it could be mistaken for water drops. Kneeling here, surrounded by water, flame, and stone, you understand the appeal. The room is a sensory cocoon. Warm water, cool air, soft sound. Perfect for slipping into a trance. You close your eyes for a moment and imagine the emperor doing the same, palms on his knees, eyes half-lidded, murmuring an incantation or simply breathing. In your mind's eye he becomes not a distant historical figure, but a man struggling to quiet a restless mind. You open your eyes again. The blue flames flicker and seem to lean toward you, as though listening. You smile faintly and murmur, "If this is where he practiced lucid dreaming, I'd better not fall asleep." You glance back at the bridge and the steps beyond, but they already feel far away. On the wall opposite the mirror, another opening waits, a low doorway without a door. Just an arch of carved stone shaped like curling clouds. A faint reddish light glows beyond it, warmer and dimmer than this chamber's cool blue. The scent of orchids drifts faintly from there, mingled with something spicier like cinnamon. You rise slowly from the cushion, the bells chiming softly again. One last look at the mosaic, the mirror, the blue flames. Then you step back across the bridge, the mist licking your ankles, and approach the cloud-shaped archway. You pause on the threshold, taking a steadying breath. "Okay," you whisper with a grin. "If this leads to a secret Tang Dynasty karaoke bar, I'm all in." The red glow pulses faintly like a heartbeat. You step through, leaving the water's hush behind, and enter the next hidden layer of the Emperor's night. The air that greets you on the other side is warmer again, almost like stepping into a sunlit room just after leaving a cool cave. The faint reddish glow you saw from the archway deepens into a dim amber that shivers across walls lined with lacquered wood. For a moment you feel as though you've crossed from water into fire, from winter night into a muted sunset. This chamber is longer than the previous ones, rectangular rather than circular. The floor here is smooth, polished wood, dark as tea, and your steps make the faintest creak, a gentle reminder that you're somewhere built by human hands, not carved from rock. The scent that reaches you is complex, orchid still, but now mingled with cinnamon, a trace of resin, and something faintly metallic like old coins. Down the length of the room run 2 rows of low shelves. They're filled with objects so delicate and precise you hesitate to approach. Jade figurines of animals, tiny boxes painted with celestial maps, folded slips of silk tied with cords. In the middle stands a single low desk, lacquered red, its legs carved like dragons coiling around each other. On the desk rests a single open scroll, weighted at the corners with carved jade frogs. You move slowly between the shelves, eyes grazing, over the treasures. A miniature pagoda of ivory, a bronze astrolabe the size of your palm, a sealed jar labeled only with a character meaning quiet. These aren't public treasures meant for display. They're private, intimate, perhaps ritual. Some historians speculate emperors kept personal collections of talismans in their sleeping chambers, objects tied to dreams or meditation. Others think such rooms were simply studies hidden within the palace maze, away from spies. The open scroll draws you closer. Its bamboo slats are painted with tiny characters in black ink, the calligraphy elegant yet hurried. You lean over, trying to read, but the script feels like a riddle, poetry perhaps, or coded instructions. You trace one line with your finger without touching. The ink shimmers faintly in the lamplight, as though still wet after centuries. Some scholars point to cryptic entries in Tang court records about night verses, composed and burned before dawn. Maybe this is such a verse never burned, waiting here in secret. Others whisper about manuals of forbidden movements, ritual dances, or meditative postures performed at night. Without proof, all anyone can do is speculate. You smile faintly and murmur, Tang Dynasty Secret Yoga Guide. The thought makes you chuckle softly, the sound echoing like a polite cough. You glance toward the far end of the room where the amber light glows brightest. There, a raised dais holds a simple seat, not a throne, but a plain wooden stool with a cushion. Above it hangs a scroll painting of a mountain wreathed in clouds, a tiny figure climbing its slope. The style is delicate, almost ethereal. You wonder if the emperor would sit here at night, reading or meditating, staring at that painted mountain as though climbing it in his mind. Near the stool stands a narrow stand with a bronze bowl resting on top. Inside the bowl are 3 sticks of incense burned halfway down. Their smoke rises slowly, carrying the scent of sandalwood and cinnamon. You remember a line from a Tang poem about walking the mountain path in dreams. Perhaps this was the emperor's place for that, crossing a mountain without leaving his room. You step closer and notice a small slip of silk pinned to the stool's cushion. A single character inked on it. Wang, to forget. The sight sends a shiver through you. Was it a mantra, a reminder, a wish? Forget the day, forget the burdens, forget the self. The emperor's private retreat wasn't about holding power, but about letting it go. The reddish glow seems to pulse with your breath. Your reflection in the polished wood blurs, then steadies. You feel the intimacy of the place pressing in. This was never meant for public eyes. It's like reading someone's diary in their own handwriting. Your humor returns in a whisper. If this is where he came to clear his head, I totally get it. Palace politics are basically ancient office drama. The thought steadies you again. Beyond. The dais, another doorway, waits, narrower than the last, framed by a curtain of strings made from tiny jade beads. They click softly against each other as a faint current of air moves through. Beyond the beads glows a light softer than this room's amber, a pale gold-like candle flame through rice paper. You cross the chamber slowly, your fingertips grazing the edge of the red desk. You pass the shelves of talismans, the bronze astrolabe, the sealed jar. The scent of cinnamon fades, replaced by the faint sweetness of lotus. You pause at the bead curtain, letting the jade beads run over your fingers. Like cool rain, you take a breath. If this isn't the last room, you mutter with a grin, I'm going to need a snack break. The beads clink as you part them gently. Pale gold light spills over you, warm as a sigh. You step through, leaving behind the Emperor's secret study, and enter the softest glow yet. The pale gold light wraps around you like a soft shawl, warm but weightless. It's as though you've stepped into a memory rather than a room. The space here is smaller, more intimate than any you've passed so far, a quiet hollow within, the labyrinth, a secret inside a secret. The floor is covered with thick woven mats dyed a gentle cream. They yield under your feet, springy and warm, whispering faintly with each step. The walls are lined not with stone or lacquered wood, but with panels of silk painted in muted tones, bamboo bending in the breeze, cranes at rest, a full moon half-veiled by clouds. The brushwork is delicate and fluid, so subtle it looks like a dream caught mid-drift. Low tables circle the room, each holding a single object, a porcelain bowl with floating lotus petals, a small bronze bell with a worn handle, a stack of folded cloth that smells faintly of lavender. Nothing here is ostentatious. Everything is meant for touch, scent, and sound. You realize this isn't a display room or a study. It's a space built for experience, for slowing the body and mind. At the center sits a round cushion of pale jade green, silk, its edges embroidered with tiny swirls like wind currents. Beside it, a slender wooden stand holds a single candle enclosed in a lantern of carved bone. The flame burns low, trembling, casting a soft halo. You imagine the Emperor here at night, shedding the layers of court ritual to sit in stillness, candlelight flickering across his face. You kneel on the cushion, testing its give. It's firm yet yielding, like sitting on the surface of a calm lake. A faint hum fills the room, not music exactly, but the resonance of air moving slowly, perhaps from hidden vents. It's low and steady, almost like a cat's purr. You feel it in your chest, soothing in a way you can't quite explain. Scholars write of midnight breathing, exercises recorded in obscure Tang manuscripts, controlled inhalations, whispered syllables meant to settle the five spirits. Others describe jade rooms, where emperors sought prophetic dreams, aided by scents and sounds. The truth is unknowable, but kneeling here, the details make sense. This room feels like a cradle for the mind. On the table nearest you sits a porcelain bowl of pale water. You lean over and find a reflection of your own face trembling there, softened by the ripples. Floating on the surface are petals of an unfamiliar flower, white at the base, fading to deep blue at the tips. They smell faintly of mint and smoke. Some plants of the Tang court were prized not for their beauty, but for their effects on sleep and dreams. Was this one of them? You brush a petal with your fingertip. It clings for a moment, leaving a faint blue stain on your skin. You laugh quietly. Great. Now I'm going to glow in the dark. The sound is swallowed by the room's hush, returning to you as a whisper. Another table holds a bronze bell, small enough to fit in your palm. You pick it up and give it the gentlest shake. It releases a single note so soft it's almost inaudible, a vibration rather than a sound. It lingers in the air like a thread of silk before fading. You imagine the Emperor using it as a cue, a signal to begin or end some private ritual. On a third table rests a folded cloth of pale lavender. When you lift it, a faint scent rises, sweet, herbal, almost like chamomile. Perhaps it was a headrest, perhaps a cloth for covering the eyes. The chronicles mention dream veils, soaked in herbal infusions to calm the senses. Again speculation, but the pattern fits. You lower the cloth and glance toward the far side of the room. A low doorway waits, but this one is different. There's no curtain, no beads, no door, just a shadowy opening framed by two slender pillars painted with gold calligraphy. The characters are half-worn but still legible. Inside lies what cannot be named. The phrase sends a shiver down your spine. You exhale slowly. You've moved from the Emperor's public world into his private world, and now you're about to step into something even deeper, his unspoken world. The candle's flame trembles as though sensing your thought. You stand smoothing the cushion with your palm. The hum of air feels a little louder now, or maybe your heartbeat is matching it. You whisper another joke to keep the tension at bay. Okay, this is either the ultimate nap room or the start of a horror movie. With a last glance at the painted panels, bamboo, cranes, moon, you move toward the shadowed doorway. The gold characters gleam faintly as you pass, catching the candlelight. The air beyond smells of sandalwood and something darker, like old paper. You step into the threshold, feeling the mats give way to cool stone again. The room ahead glows, faintly but not with fire or candles. It's a deeper light, like dawn filtered through fog. You can't see its source yet, only feel its pull. You take a breath and cross fully into the Emperor's deepest hidden chamber. The air shifts as you cross the threshold, cooler now with a faint metallic tang, like the scent of rain on bronze. The stone under your feet is smoother than before, polished so fine it reflects your shadow, like a pale ghost trailing behind you. The room seems larger than the others, but its edges are obscured by darkness, as if space itself has been stretched thin. A glow rises from somewhere near the center. It isn't candlelight or lantern fire. It's softer, bluer, like moonlight, poured into a bowl. As your eyes adjust, you see the source, a shallow stone basin carved into the floor filled with water so still it looks solid. Thin, silver filaments, threads of some unknown metal, spiral across its surface, catching the faint light. When you step closer, the glow intensifies, painting your hands in pale blue. Around the basin are 4 low stools, each covered with faded cushions. At their feet sit small chests, some open, revealing objects nestled inside: a carved jade comb, a folded paper fan painted with dragons and clouds, a delicate mask of thin gold shaped to cover the eyes. You feel as though you're standing in a theater's backstage, but the performance here is private, known only to the Emperor, and perhaps a handful of attendants sworn to silence. You kneel beside the basin and peer into it. For a moment, you expect to see your own reflection, but instead the water holds an image of a room you've never seen. Bright silk banners, dancers in swirling robes, a figure on a throne blurred by mist. The image flickers, then vanishes. Only the pale blue water remains, a dream pool, a meditative aid. Historians still debate the mirror waters described in obscure Tang texts. Some claim they were symbolic, others insist they were real, a kind of early optical illusion created with oils and minerals. You trail your fingertips across the surface. The water doesn't ripple, it shivers. Tiny sparks of light dance outwards, fading before they reach the edge. A soft hum rises deeper than before, resonating in your ribs. You sit back, blinking. Okay, you whisper. Definitely not your average palace spa. To your left stands a low table holding scrolls tied with red silk. You untie one gently and unroll it. The brushwork is fine, the ink faded to soft brown. At first it seems like poetry, images of moonlight, cranes, ripples on a lake. But hidden in the metaphors are instructions. Breathe once for the sun, twice for the moon. Hold the third for the dream unseen. You read further. Apply the jade comb to the crown of the head. Cover the eyes with gold. Step into the mirror water at midnight. It's part ritual, part meditation, part mystery. On another stool sits the gold eye mask. You lift it, feeling its surprising lightness. Its surface is etched with swirling clouds that catch the faint glow. When you hold it to your face, the world darkens, but not completely. You can still see shapes, like looking through fog. You imagine the Emperor sitting here, mask in place, comb in hand, attendants silent as he prepared to walk the dream. Some chronicles hint that Tang emperors believed dreams could be guided, even shared, through ritual and sensory control. They spoke of sleeping together without touching, a phrase that scandalized later Confucian scholars. Was this room a place of shared dreaming, or simply of private retreat. No one can say for sure. But the objects around you, the mask, the comb, the mirror water, all whisper of a man who wanted to step outside the waking world. You set the mask back down and glance toward the far side of the chamber. There's another doorway, but it isn't open. It's a panel of carved wood set into the stone wall, painted with two phoenixes facing each other. Their wings curve to form an arch, and between their beaks is a tiny metal keyhole. You lean closer. There's no key in sight. The hum from the basin deepens, vibrating through the soles of your feet. You find yourself breathing in time with it, slow, steady, almost hypnotic. You close your eyes for a moment. Images flicker behind your lids. Crimson curtains, the emperor's profile, a scent of sandalwood and mint. You open them quickly. "Nope," you murmur, not falling asleep in the emperor's secret spa. Still, a part of you is curious. The ritual in the scroll mentioned stepping into the mirror water. You glance at the basin again. Its surface glows faintly, waiting. The chests of objects seem like an invitation, and that closed door with its phoenixes feels like a threshold not just in space, but in meaning. You stand and stretch, the sound of your joints tiny in the hush. "Okay," you joke softly. "First I was a tourist. Now I'm a protagonist in a very weird historical escape room." Your fingers brush the carved wood of the panel. It's warm, as if touched by sunlight despite the dim chamber. The phoenixes seem to shimmer, their painted eyes following you. You can almost hear them whisper, though it's only the hum of the water. You take a step back, breathing in deeply. There's no obvious path forward, but you sense that the next chamber, if you can find a way in, will hold something more personal, more revealing. This was the Emperor's dreaming room, but beyond lies something else, perhaps the heart of his secret life. You glance once more at the glowing basin, at the mask, at the comb. Each object is a fragment of a story whose whole you can't yet see, but you're close. The air tastes of sandalwood and mystery. You steady yourself, ready for whatever waits beyond the phoenix door. The chamber exhales as you step back from the phoenix door, the hum of the mirror water fading behind you. Another corridor appears where there was none before, lit by a row of faintly glowing beads strung along the ceiling like a trail of stars. You follow it, each footstep muffled by a carpet of embroidered clouds, tiny cranes and lotus blossoms woven into deep crimson silk. The air here is thicker, carrying the faint scent of burned incense and something earthier, like soil after rain. A hush settles around you, but it isn't the hush of emptiness, it's the hush of waiting. You emerge into a smaller room. This one is round, like the inside of a drum. The walls are painted a pale gold, overlaid with darker shapes, talismans, constellations, and curling calligraphy that looks almost like musical notes. In the center sits a low circular altar made of polished black wood. Upon it rests an array of objects, bowls filled with powders of strange colors, indigo, ochre, pearl white, bundles of dried herbs tied with silk, and a cluster of carved amulets shaped like animals you can't name. A single candle flickers at the edge of the altar, though you don't recall lighting it. Its flame bends toward you as if acknowledging your presence. On the wall opposite you hangs a scroll. Its brushstrokes are bold, less delicate than the ones by the mirror water. At first glance it seems to depict the night sky, but the stars are arranged into unfamiliar shapes. In the corner is a notation, ritual of 9 breaths, to protect the Emperor's sleep from shadows unseen. You tilt your head. Shadows unseen? Was this simply poetic, or did the Tang court truly fear something lurking in dreams? Modern. Historians still argue over references to midnight shades in palace records. Some say they were metaphors for nightmares or political treachery. Others suggest a belief in actual entities that prowled the sleeping mind. You circle the altar. A low stand beside it holds an ornate bronze bell, no bigger than your palm. You lift it carefully and give it a soft shake. Its sound is clear but oddly flat, like a note struck underwater. A faint vibration travels up your arm, leaving a tingling behind. You set it down quickly. On a small wooden tray, you find sticks of incense stamped with characters for jade and phoenix. Their tips are dipped in something glittering, almost like crushed shells. Next to them sits a shallow dish of oil, dark as ink, with a faint smell of camphor. The scroll's instructions mention drawing the line between waking and sleeping. You wonder if this oil was used to anoint the temples, a tactile cue to mark the transition. You picture the emperor here at night, the candle casting shadows across his face as an attendant rings the bell and traces symbols on the floor. Perhaps concubines or trusted eunuchs stood at the edges, reciting incantations meant to ward off. Midnight shades. The thought sends a ripple of both amusement and unease through you. Imagine needing a whole support team just to get to sleep, you murmur. A narrow window near the ceiling lets in a shaft of moonlight. Dust motes drift in it like tiny spirits. As your eyes follow their slow dance, you notice something etched into the altar's edge. A string of characters you don't recognize, their curves unlike standard Chinese script. Could it be Sanskrit? The Tang court had deep ties to Buddhist. Monks from India. Perhaps these symbols were borrowed from their rituals, blended into palace custom like herbs into tea. You lean closer to read them, and the candle sputters, throwing a brief burst of light across the room. For an instant you see a shape behind you in the wall, a painted figure of a robed woman with long hair holding a mirror. When you blink, she's gone, just calligraphy and talismans again. A chill creeps down your spine. You take a slow breath, like the scroll instructed, once for the sun, twice for the moon, and the air tastes faintly sweet. You exhale, and the candle steadies. In the hush you hear whispers, not words but the suggestion of sound, like silk brushing silk. You glance around. Nothing moves. The whisper fades. Perhaps it was only the blood in your ears. Or perhaps the room remembers the rituals once performed here and hums them back, faint echoes across centuries. You cross to the wall where the painted woman seemed to appear. Up close you see a tiny crack in the plaster shaped like an eye. Pressing gently you feel a cool draft. Another hidden passage. The Tang emperors were nothing if not thorough in designing secret routes. You imagine the emperor slipping through here after the ritual, away from the gaze of even his most trusted servants. You step back from the crack, resisting the urge to push further. You're still in the middle of the ritual room, and something about it demands respect. The objects on the altar seem to watch you, their powders and amulets holding more meaning than you can decipher. Still, curiosity hums at your fingertips. Each room so far has peeled back a layer of the emperor's private life. Silk, scent, dream, power. Now you're at the edge of something stranger. Belief, superstition, maybe even fear. You whisper a joke under your breath. You came for a sleepy history story. You stayed for a paranormal palace tour. Your voice sounds small in the round. Room? The candle flickers again, this time steadying as if in answer. You glance once more at the scroll about the 9 breaths. Its final line reads, "Step into the next chamber when your shadow stretches long." You look down. The candlelight throws your shadow far across the embroidered carpet, stretching toward the hidden crack. You take another slow breath. The air quivers. It feels as though the palace itself is guiding you deeper, not just through stone corridors, but through the emperor's mind. And somewhere beyond this round room, beyond talismans and powders, the heart of the secret waits. Your shadow spills across the embroidered floor like ink poured on silk, reaching the crack in the wall. It's so thin you could have missed it, but now it looks like a seam waiting to be unstitched. The candle trembles, its flame leaning toward. The gap as if urging you forward. You crouch and press your fingers against the plaster. It gives slightly, cool and chalky. A low click echoes inside, followed by a soft hiss, and the seam opens like a hidden door, revealing a narrow passage beyond. A faint draft sweeps out, cool, with a hint of sandalwood and something bitter, like crushed herbs. You duck inside, careful not to disturb the powders and amulets on the altar. The passage is so tight your shoulders brush both walls. Each step makes the floor groan softly, though the stone underfoot feels strong. After a dozen paces, the tunnel widens, and you emerge into a dimly lit chamber. This room is not adorned with silks or lanterns. Its walls are bare stone, rough-hewn, with faint scratches running across them like claw marks. You pause. It feels colder here, but not empty. Something about the space hums with tension, as if It remembers long ago voices raised in pain or fear. In the center stands a wooden frame, low and wide, like a table without a top. Its legs are carved with phoenixes and dragons, but the carving is rough, less refined than the rest of the palace. Hanging from its crossbars are lengths of red cord, some knotted in complex loops, others dangling free. Beside it sits a low chest with its lid ajar. Inside you glimpse folded cloths, small wooden paddles, and what looks like a delicate silver scale used to measure powders. You step closer, the floor creaking. There's a faint smell of iron, old, subtle, like pennies kept too long in a drawer. On the far wall a scroll hangs crooked, its edges tattered. The calligraphy here is not poetic but stern, each character heavy with authority. You squint to read it. Those who defy the inner chamber's decrees shall be corrected here. That order may be restored to the celestial house. You lean back slightly. So this is where the emperor's private punishments took place, not the public court, not the formal tribunals, but this hidden room beneath the dreaming chamber, a place for secrets to be maintained by force if necessary. Historians still debate what correction meant in such contexts. Some believe it referred to moral instruction or ritual purification. Others, more cynically, think of physical punishment disguised under lofty names. The cords and paddles here seem to support the latter theory. You shiver, though the air is still. Great, you whisper. A medieval wellness retreat on top, a secret HR department down below. You run your fingers along one of the cords. It's surprisingly soft, almost silky yet strong enough to hold weight. The knots are intricate, some forming loops you don't recognize. You imagine a concubine or eunuch brought here under cover of night, scolded or worse for breaking one of the emperor's invisible rules, arriving late to a ritual, touching something forbidden, perhaps whispering in the wrong ear. On a low shelf against the wall sit small porcelain jars labeled with single characters: stillness, silence, shame. You lift one gently. Inside is a pale powder with no scent. Was it medicine, incense, or something used to dull the senses? The ambiguity makes you uneasy. A faint echo drifts through the chamber, a sound like a sigh. You whirl, but no one's there, only the cords swaying slightly as though brushed by a breeze. You take a slow breath, trying to steady yourself. The candlelight from the passage behind you doesn't reach far, leaving the corners in thick shadow. You notice something, etched into the wooden frame's crossbeam. You bend to read it. The characters are smaller than before, scratched rather than painted. Remember mercy. The words surprise you. A warning, a prayer, or perhaps a guilty echo from whoever supervised this place. The mixture of control and remorse in this chamber unsettles you. Above, in the emperor's secret rooms, everything was soft, silks, scents, rituals for guiding dreams. Here in the belly of the palace, it's cords, powders, and etched pleas for mercy. Two halves of the same man, seeker of beauty and keeper of discipline. You glance at the chest again. Beneath the folded cloths lies something metallic. You reach in and lift it. A small bronze mirror no larger than your palm. Its back is etched with a coiling dragon, its face polished to a dull shine. When you tilt it toward yourself, the reflection is faint and warped, as though showing not your face, but an echo of it. For a heartbeat, you think you see someone else's, eyes staring back, dark, rimmed with cold, full of fatigue. You blink and it's only you again. You set the mirror down carefully, pulse quickening. Okay, you mutter softly. That's enough nightmare fuel for tonight. You move toward the far side of the chamber, where a single torch burns low. Beside it stands another doorway, this one framed not by phoenixes, but by plain wood. Its lintel bears a single character: balance. You run your fingers over it. The grain is smooth, the wood warm, as if many hands have touched it. The air on the other side of the door smells fresher, less like hidden punishment and more like open air. You take a final glance at the cords, the jars, the etched plea for mercy. It's a glimpse of the emperor's other world, the one even fewer knew about. You straighten, taking a slow breath like the scroll instructed. The flame of the torch bends toward the door. You place your hand on the panel, feeling it tremble, faintly under your touch, and push it open. The corridor beyond slopes upward, a faint glow at its end. You step into it, leaving the hidden chamber behind. The scent of sandalwood fades, replaced by cool night air. Somewhere above, a bell tolls, a soft, distant note, marking a time no one but you seems to keep. And as you ascend, you can't shake the feeling that you've glimpsed not just a secret place, but a secret self. The Emperor's shadow woven into the palace like a knot in silk. The upward slope feels almost like a climb out of a dream. Your footsteps echo softly, and each echo seems to come back a little warmer, a little brighter, as if the air ahead carries a different mood. Gone is the damp scent of stone and the iron tang of the secret chamber. Now you smell open air, crushed pine needles and faint night blossoms, the garden above. When you emerge, the ceiling is gone. Instead, a courtyard opens under a velvet Tang Dynasty sky, scattered with stars, so clear you could almost pluck them like beads from a string. Moonlight spills across the tiles, turning their glazed surfaces silver blue. A light breeze stirs the hem of your sleeves, carrying a chime of distant bells. You're standing at the edge of a hidden garden. It isn't one of the grand, public gardens of the palace, the kind you see in paintings with bridges and carp ponds. This is a pocket of wilderness walled in by stone, a sanctuary inside a sanctuary. Tall bamboo leans over winding paths. Tiny white flowers bloom in clusters, their scent soft and slightly sweet like rice steamed with jasmine. You take a step forward and feel the ground shift from stone to earth. The path leads to a small pavilion with carved railings. Its roof tiles glint in the moonlight like scales. Inside the pavilion is a low table with 2 cushions. On the table sits a single object, a lacquered box, its lid painted with mountains fading into mist. You sit before it, fingers hovering over the lid. The box feels different from the other objects you've touched tonight, not a ritual tool or a punishment device, but something more personal. You lift the lid slowly. Inside are rolled up slips of silk, each no wider than your hand. You take one out and unroll it. It's not a decree or a poem, it's a letter. The brushwork is looser, less formal than imperial calligraphy. Under the quiet of this garden, it begins, I find the courage to write what cannot be said aloud. The letter goes on to describe worries about succession, guilt over harsh decisions, and a yearning for a life without ceremony. It's unsigned, but the tone is unmistakable. The Emperor's own private thoughts. You unroll another slip. I send gifts to the northern tribes, but feel they are empty gestures, it reads. The more rituals I perform, the more the shadows grow. At night I dream of walking out of the palace gates and never returning. Your chest tightens a little. Here at last is the man behind the Emperor. The one who performed the dream rituals, who built secret rooms, who punished those who disobeyed, but etched remember mercy into the wood. He's not just a figure of power, but a human caught in his own net of rules. You glance up at the sky. The stars are reflected in a small pond near the pavilion. You walk to its edge. The water is still, but not like the mirror water below. This pond reflects exactly what's above, stars, bamboo, and the pale oval of your face. You crouch and dip your fingers in. It's cool, soothing, real. A soft rustle draws your attention. Across the garden, between 2 stands of bamboo, you see a shadow move, a slender figure robed in pale silk. You blink and it's gone. Perhaps a trick of moonlight. Perhaps a memory echoing from the Emperor's nights here. Modern historians have found references to the moonlit court, a hidden group of advisors and concubines who met the Emperor here, away from official audiences. Some think it was a circle of confidants, others a secretive cult of dream ritual practitioners. The records are too vague to be certain. You return to the pavilion and set the letters back into the box. The breeze ruffles your hair like a gentle hand. For a moment, the garden feels less like a secret and more like a confession. The Emperor's heart laid bare under the stars. You whisper a small joke, voice softer than before. All this time chasing palace intrigue, and I end up at a midnight therapy session. The sound makes you smile despite yourself. Beyond the pavilion, a narrow stone bridge crosses a trickling stream. On the far side stands another door set into a rock wall, its lintel carved with the character Root. The letters are shallow, worn down by time. You run your fingers over them. The rock is cool and rough, Somewhere beyond that door lies what feels like the center of all these spirals. Not rituals, not punishments, but the root of the Emperor's secret life. The garden behind you smells of night flowers. The stream murmurs softly. You take a deep breath, readying yourself. For a heartbeat, you imagine the Emperor himself standing where you are, letters spread before him, torn between power and peace. You wonder if he ever stepped through that door, or if he built it only to dream of crossing. The moonlight catches the edge of the door, outlining it in silver. You place your palm against it. The stone is cold but not unwelcoming. You press, gently, and it shifts under your touch with a sound like distant thunder. The passage beyond is dark, but the scent that drifts from it is neither sandalwood nor iron, just earth, plain and honest. You step forward, leaving the garden behind, your footsteps echoing softly like a heartbeat. The passage slopes gently downward, the cool scent of earth wrapping around you like a damp cloak. Here there are no painted walls, no silk or scrolls, just raw stone, flecked with quartz that catches the faintest light and glints like hidden stars. Each step muffles into a deeper quiet until the palace above feels as far away as another lifetime. The corridor widens without warning, and you find yourself in a cavernous space carved directly into the bedrock beneath Chang'an. This is no decorated chamber, but something older, rougher, almost natural. The air is heavy with stillness. You can hear your own breathing like a slow drumbeat. In the center of the cavern stands a massive pillar of stone, carved all around with characters so old they're closer to symbols than writing. Spirals, waves, coils, some you recognize from Buddhist talismans, others from Taoist diagrams of energy flow. It's as if all the Emperor's beliefs have been braided together and etched into one monolith. At its base sits a round stone platform, slightly raised, big enough for one person to stand upon. You step closer, your footsteps echoing in concentric rings. As you circle the pillar, you notice offerings scattered at its foot. Dried lotus pods, tiny bowls of what was once rice, fragments of jade worn smooth by time. They're not imperial treasures, they're humble tokens, as though left in secret by someone who came here alone. Your fingers graze the carvings, the grooves are deep and cold. When you close your eyes, you can almost feel a hum in the stone, slower and deeper than the mirror water's vibration. It thrums up your arm into your chest like a second heartbeat. You open your eyes and exhale slowly. A faint light glows from the platform, not from any lamp, but from the stone itself. You step onto it instinctively. The hum strengthens, not threatening, but enveloping, like being inside a giant bell after it's been struck. The air tastes of rain and iron. The walls around you are carved too, though more faintly. Scenes of an emperor in meditation, hands clasped, eyes closed, as clouds swirl around him. Beneath the images are short phrases. Breath becomes shadow. Desire becomes wind. Power becomes dust. Each line sounds like part of a larger poem. Historians still puzzle over mentions of the root chamber in obscure palace records. Some think it was a hidden shrine, others a meditation hall. One scholar proposed it was an unofficial tomb, place where an emperor could rehearse his own death to loosen his grip on power. No evidence confirms it, but standing here, the idea feels plausible. You kneel and press your palm to the platform. It's cool and smooth, but faintly alive under your hand, as if it's been warmed by centuries of breath. You imagine the emperor here, alone at night after his rituals and punishments, stepping down into this cavern to stand before the monolith and whisper his secrets into the stone. Perhaps he hoped it would take them, hold them safe, or dissolve them into silence. Above you, a few droplets fall from the ceiling and strike the platform, each making a soft sound like a plucked string. You think of rain outside palace walls, of rivers flowing past farmers' fields, things the emperor rarely saw anymore. A small niche in the wall catches your eye. Inside rests a wooden box, unadorned, its lid cracked from age. You draw it out and open it. Inside is a single object, a jade ring, simple and unpolished, with a faint chip on one edge. It doesn't look like a symbol of power, but like something worn every day. Perhaps a gift from someone the emperor trusted. Perhaps a reminder of a simpler life. You hold it for a moment. It's warm despite the cold air. You slip it over your finger, it fits loosely. For a second you feel a strange calm, as though the cavern is exhaling through you. You whisper, half joking, half reverent, "Welcome to the Emperor's basement confessional." Your voice carries softly, echoing back in a dozen gentle tones. Beyond, the monolith is another archway cut into the stone. This one has no door, no carvings, just a dark curve leading deeper. The air that drifts from it is softer, warmer, scented faintly of bamboo. You sense that on the other side lies not another ritual, not another punishment, but something like release. You glance once more at the carvings, the platform, the humble offerings. This isn't a place of show or spectacle. It's a root, a quiet core where the Emperor could face himself without masks, without gold, without even a name. You step off the platform, the hum fading to a gentle echo in your chest. The jade ring is still on your finger, light as breath. You adjust your grip on your sleeve, take a deep breath and walk toward the archway. The ground rises slightly, the scent of bamboo grows stronger. Above, you can almost hear the rustle of leaves, though you're still underground. A soft glow appears ahead, warm and golden. Somewhere beyond this arch, the lanterns are fading, the secrets are loosening, and the story you've been walking through begins to dissolve like mist. At dawn, the tunnel curves upward, and the golden glow strengthens with each step until the stone beneath your hands turns warm. The air shifts, no longer the mineral hush of underground, but a soft, living breeze carrying a fragrance of bamboo and faint sandalwood. Your feet feel the change too, rough stone giving way to polished wood, smooth under your fingertips as you trail them along the wall. You emerge into a narrow veranda that seems impossible beneath the palace. It's a hidden garden, tucked like a secret heartbeat below the Emperor's rooms. Bamboo shoots sway gently despite no visible wind. Their leaves whisper like a lullaby. A small pond glints at the center, ringed with moss, reflecting the soft lantern light overhead. There's no throne here, no grand hall, just a wooden bench carved with simple swirls, worn smooth where someone's hands have rested often. The Emperor would come here after his rituals, historians guess, and sit in the cool dimness, not as a sovereign, but as a man. You walk to the pond. Fish glide just under the surface, pale gold, almost transparent. One drifts close and pauses, as if regarding you with its round, glassy eye. In the water you see your reflection alongside its shadow. For a second, you feel you're looking through time itself, the pond a thin window into another life. A scroll lies on the bench. Its silk tie is frayed, but the characters are still crisp. You unroll it carefully. Inside is not a decree or confession, but a poem. In chambers of jade I am no more than a reed in the marsh bending. Desire a river, power a dream, breath my only companion. The Emperor's handwriting is steady, but there's a tremor in the last line. You can almost hear him exhaling as he wrote it, each stroke a loosening of a knot. Scholars still argue whether these lines belong to the Tang Emperor or to a nameless monk who tended the chamber. No proof survives. The truth drifts somewhere between ink and water. You set the scroll down gently. Around you, the bamboo creaks faintly like the timbers of an old ship. You sit on the bench, the jade ring still on your finger, and lean back. The hidden garden feels like a room between worlds, a soft pause between the Emperor's public life and the sleep that always waited. You close your eyes for a moment. In the hush, you can almost hear his footsteps, a faint swish of silk, a low sigh as he sits where you sit now. Perhaps he whispered into the pond, perhaps he let his secrets drift away with the koi. The lanterns dim, their glow softening to amber. The walls blur in your vision. The bamboo bends closer, their leaves forming a loose canopy overhead. The pond's surface ripples once and settles. Your breathing slows without you noticing. The Emperor's garden seems to breathe with you. Inhale, exhale, bamboo swaying. Each detail fades a little at the edges. The gold fish, the carved bench, the poem on silk. The hidden heart of the palace dissolves into a haze of green and gold, like the last dream before waking. Somewhere above, the palace is still bustling, drums and bells calling servants, petitions waiting for answers. But down here, time is unspooled, power is dust, desire is wind. Your only breath, Sitting in a secret garden under an emperor's palace listening to bamboo whisper, your eyelids grow heavier. The jade ring warms your finger as if holding a faint pulse. You lean your head back against the wood and let the hush flow over you. The story that began in the candlelit chambers has wound its way here to a garden no one remembers, where every secret becomes water. Now, as your breath evens out, the garden dims further. The koi sink into shadow. The lanterns fade like embers. The bench cradles you gently, and the emperor's voice, never heard, only imagined, becomes a soft murmur at the edge of sleep. The palace dissolves, the stones dissolve, even the ring becomes only a circle of warmth around your finger. You drift, weightless, as the last of the hidden stories folds shut like a scroll.